Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Katsina State Senior Secondary School's online connect, powered by Exponential Computers. Physics lesson for SS1 students. Week 5 or fifth week of the lesson for the physics class to the SS1 students. I, the presenter, Ismail Baraya. So for the week 5 class or contents, here are the lesson contents. The number one, it says production of charges. We also have types of charges. We are also to discuss about the distribution of charges and also how the charges are stored. Let's go and see. So for the first content, it's talking about the production of charges, how to produce a charge. So normally electric charge is nothing but the amount of energy or electrons that pass from one body to another. So you see, it is just the transferring of the energy or the electrons or the current. It passes from one energy to another energy. But that transferring of that energy, it cannot be done but only in this different mode, that is the friction, conduction, and the induction. So it is only within these three modes you can be able to do the production of those charges. It is due to these three modes, that is the friction, conduction, and the induction. So normally electric charge is the transferring of electrons from one body to another. That is how they transfer it. But for the production of them, you have to use these three modes, that is the friction, conduction, and the induction. So let's go and see if we can be able to talk about those three modes. So here we will be talking about the charging by friction. So when two objects are rubbed against each other, so that means that they are rubbed. You rub them between those two objects, maybe like let's say a plastic or something like that, and a clothes. So when you rub them together, then one of the objects loses electrons. So you see, between those objects, one will lose the electron while the other object will gain electron. So you see, some one of them, maybe the the plastic rod will lose the electron, and also the clothes, maybe, or a sheet of clothes, something like that, will gain that electron. So whenever those two objects, one lose electron and one gain electron, then we will be able to produce a charge. So the objects that lose electron become positive charged. So you see, the object that lose the electron, that means that there is no electron on it. The electrons are less compared to the proton, because when we are talking about the proton and the electron, we are talking about the positive charge and the negative charge. So whenever whenever we lose the electrons, that means that object, it is positive charge, and the object that gain electron become negative charge particle or object. So you see, the 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 electrons, when the electrons are gained, if you gain them, that means that the electrons are more than the protons. Then that object will be a positive, or no, sorry, will be a negative charge, because it gain the electrons. The protons are less compared to the proton. That means that you gain the electrons, so the electrons become negative charge. So when the protons are more than the electrons, that means that you have a positive charge particle or positive charge object. Or whenever you have the electrons are more than the proton. That means that you will have a negative charge particle. So you see that charging, both the objects get charged due to friction. So this is how we call it the electrification by friction. So whenever we have two objects, and if we put those objects in contact, we rub them together, the two of them, we rub them, maybe like we use for this example here. If you look at see on this example here, we have uncharged cloth here, the one in yellow, so it is on charge. That means that, and when we say something it is on charge, we are talking about it is not charged. So it is uncharged cloth, and we also have a uncharged plastic rod. So you see the both of them here, they are uncharged, so we do not rub them here, we do not mix them here, so they are uncharged because we did not mix them. But if we rub them together, the two of them, we rub them in a short period of time, then that means that we will be having a proton only. So when we are having a proton, the proton are more compared to the electron, then we will be having a positive charge rod or electron or particle or object. So that means that the proton are more than the electron. So whenever also we have whereby the electrons are more than the proton, then that means that we will be having a negative charge particle or object. So you see here we also have a positive charge rod, and we also have a negative or negatively charged cloth. So if we rub them together, we rub them. So that rubbing, it is called a friction. It is due to that friction. So when we are doing that rub, we are introducing or we are producing the electric charge. So you see, because if we rub them together, then someone will lose electron and someone will lose proton, or someone, and if they lose the proton, if they lose the electron and someone gains the electron, that means that you will be having a positively charged and you will be having a negatively charged. And whenever the object it gain electron, that means that it have a positively charged rod, or whenever it loses electron, that means that it is negatively charged rod or cloth or something like that. So this is how we produce the electric charge, or a charge, not electric charge only. We also we introduce it all by the use of the friction. So this charging by friction is we used to call it electrification by friction. So we have the charges, the losses of the electrons, and the gaining of the electron. That is why we will be having the positively charged particle or object, or positively charged rod, and we will also have a negatively charged rod. So you see, this is how we come to produce the charges, but that charges we produce it in a way of doing friction, because we mix them together or we rub them together. And if we rub them together, that means that the charges, they transfer it, because that charges, they lose electron and they gain electron. So you see, whenever that charging it takes place, or that charge occur, or that transfer occur, that means that we will be having that positivity and the negativity. So this is how we introduce the charging, but by only friction. This is the charging by friction. So this is about how we do the production of charge, but by friction. When you mix them together or you rub them together, the two of those two objects, you rub them together, then we'll be having a gaining of electron and we will be having a losses of electron. So this is about the charging by friction. So this is about the second one, and the second mode is talking about the charge by conduction. So this method is talking about if you have a uncharged body. So when you bring that uncharged body, and when we say that something it is uncharged, then that means that it don't have a proton and it don't have electron. That means that it is neutral, it is free. There is no positivity and there is no negativity. So the method of charging an uncharged object by bringing it close to a charged particle is known as charging by induction. So you see, if you bring it together, the other one the friction we talk about, we mix them together, but this one we bring it close to each other or near to each other. We bring it close or near to them. So then that charge will take place. That transferring of energy from one place to another will take place because we bring it near. So this conduction is only talking about when we bring them close to, near to. So whenever we bring them near to, between the uncharged, and when we say something it is uncharged, that means that it don't have a charge, it don't have a positive charge or a negative charge, it is neutral, it is free, there is no charge on it. And if we come close to it, we near with the one that is have a charge, or the one that have maybe a positive charge or maybe a negative charge, so that charge will transfer to it. Because of why? Because we bring it close to each other or near to each other. So the charge conductor has an unequal number of protons and electrons. Hence, when an uncharged conductor is bring near it, it discharges electron to stabilize itself. So you see here in this example, we have a neutral sphere, or something that it is neutral. There is no charge on it, and we bring a charge, and that charge it is only proton. So if we bring it near to that neutral object, because there is no charge on it, so that charge will become proton, and the whole it will be proton. The proton will take over. There will be many of the proton compared to the electron. So whenever it will stabilize itself due to that through discharging of the electron, because it will be a positive charge particle or a charge rod. Here we have a charge rod. So you see, it will discharge the rest of the electrons. So whenever the electrons are less compared to the proton, then you will be having a positively charged particle. So you see here we have a proton, and that proton will discharge the rest of the electrons, then it will stabilize itself. So then it will be a charge conductor, a fully charged conductor, if we compare it with the neutral and the one that don't have any of those charges. So if we bring a charge of a positive charge, that is the proton, then it will stabilize itself through the discharging of the rest of the electrons in there. So it will stabilize itself. Then the proton will be more will be higher than the electron. So this is about how the charging by induction. This one, it only need to bring it close to that neutral object, or that uncharged object, the one that don't have charge. You are just to bring it near to it, close to it, in contact, and in contact. And when we say maybe conduction, we mean something in contact, where you bring it near to them, maybe they are even touching each other. So that transferring of energy or that charging of energy will be conducted. So this is about them, the charge by conduction, when you bring it close to it or near to it, so or maybe even in contact with them, with each other. So then the proton will stabilize itself through the discharging of the electron. And maybe even if you bring out the electron, so the electron will discharge the proton, and because it want to stabilize itself, so it will only be the electrons are more higher than the proton. And when we have electrons are more higher than the protons, then we have a negative charge or particle or object or a sphere, something like that. So this is about charge by conduction. So for the last one among the modes of the production of charge is charge by induction. So the process of charge an uncharged conductor by bringing it near a charge conductor without any physical contact is known as charging by induction. So you see, this one also is talking about to bring it near to it. But remember, if you bring it near to it without any physical contact, so if you can remember, we say when we say something in contact, that means that maybe we can say that they are maybe touching each other. That is in contact, but without any physical contact. This means that they will not be in contact. You only bring it close to or near to, so that the transferring can occur. The transferring of the energy from one place to another. So if you look at this diagram here, maybe we have a sphere of A and a sphere of B in contact. If you look at this A, we have a sphere, and let's say it is neutral because there is no an indication of the charge particle. So this is for the sphere. They are neutrals. So if you look at this B, the diagram of B, so we use a positive charge. We are trying to bring it near, but not in contact, because we cannot. If you want to do the induction without any physical contact, we must make sure that they are not in contact. So if you look at this diagram of B, we are trying to show a rod containing a positive charge particle. We are trying to do the charging. We bring it close to the sphere of A and B. So if you look at it, and if you can remember your law of electrostatic, so it says that for positive and positive, they repel each other. Also the negative and non-negative, they repel each other, but positive and negative, they attract each other. So you see, there is a conduction when we have a positive and a negative charge. But when if they are in the same, there will be a repulsion. They will refuse each other. Why? Because they are in the same. They are in the same, let's say, or gender or something like that, because they repel each other. And if they are you interchange them. When you have a positive and the negative, then there's a conductivity. But if you use the positive and positive repulsing, also negative and negative repulsing. So if you look at it here, this this we are trying to do the charging. We have a positive charge, and this pair, it contains a positive charge. And if you look at this, the diagram of B, the sphere of B, you will see that the positive charge, they shift back. Why did they shift back? It is because we are also trying to use a positive charge. That is why it will move back. Then the negative charge will do the transferring, because they are not in the same. They are not the same, because we are trying to do the charging by positive, and the spare, it also have the negative charge. That is why they are trying to be in contact. So you see that the negative, okay, sorry, the positive, they will shift back, they will move away. Why? Because due to the repulsion. So also, if you look at this diagram number C, or diagram C, you will see that the positive charge spare, it separate itself. So you see, it cannot do the transferring. Why? Because we are doing the charging by a positive charge. That is why it separates itself, because there is no interaction between the positive and the positive, also the negative and the negative. But the positive and negative, there is interaction between them. They used to come in contact with each other, because they can be in contact with each other, the positive and the negative. So this is how the charging come to be. And if you look at this diagram D, you will see that for the spare A, we have a complete negative charge particle. And also for the spare B, you will see that it is only a positive charge ions or particles. So this is how we do the charging by induction. We bring it near to it, but not in contact. They will not touch each other. So they must make sure that they are not in contact for that charge, for that transferring to occur, for the transferring or charging by induction for it to happen without any physical contact. They cannot be in contact. So also likewise, if you take maybe a positive rod, or this like a cylinder, it is like, maybe let's say it is a stick, but the stick, it is a positive charge, and also you can use it for the negative charge. And even if it is a negative charge, that means that the negative charge will push away, because they are in the same, let's say, gender or something like that. Because for a negative and a negative repulsion, they will repulse each other. Also the negative will come forward and carry out the charging due to the charging by induction. You will see that you will have a complete spare of the charge particle of positive, and if it is positive, and also if it is a negative, you will be having a conduction, charging by conduction of a negative. So you see, this is how for the conduction or the charging by conduction used to be. So also this is for the, or even if this example is for the positive, this example is mainly for the positive. Also for the negative, the same thing as apply, because it repel each other if it is positive and negative, and if it is negative and negative, they repel each other, and if it is negative and positive, then that means that there is interaction. So that is about the charging by induction. So here we are to talk about the types of those two charges. So these two charges, normally it is the positive charge and the negative charge that we are having. Normally these are the two kind of charges that we have. And the positive charge, normally we use a positive sign for it. Also for the negative sign, we use the minus sign, or let's say a minus mark for it. So this is about this is the two charges. And also we also have the third one. It is called a neutral. So normally it is only these two charges, the positive charge and the negative charge. So negative charge, when an object has a negative charge, it means that it has more electron than protons. So you see, whenever we have the electrons are much higher compared to the proton, then it is a negative charge ion or particle. And also for the positive charge, when the protons are much higher than the electron, that means that we have a positively charged particle or object. So you see, this is about then for the negative, when the electrons are higher, for the positive, when the protons are higher. So this is about the two types of electric charge that we have. And there is some explanation here. It says that when there is an identical number of positive and negative charges, the negative and the positive charges could cancel out each other, and the object could become neutral. So this one is talking about the third types of the electric charge. So this one is talking about the neutral, when the positive charge and the negative charge, the identical number of them, they cancel each other. So you see, if there is no positive charge and there is no negative charge, then it is called neutral. So this is about the types of electric charges. So for this content we are to talk about the distribution of charge. The distribution of charge is the result of electrons movement. So you see, whenever we are having a movement of the electron, that means that the distribution is going on, is on the movement, due to the movement of the electrons. So since conductors allow for electrons to be transferred from particle to particle, a charged object will always distribute its charge until the overall repulsive forces between excess electrons is minimized. So you see, normally a conductor normally is used to allow the flow of current to pass through them easily. So you see, whenever we can be able to do, or we are allowed to put the electrons or the charges to pass. So that means that they can do the distribution. They can do the distribution among them until excess electron is minimized, and that minimization will be due to the repulsion of the forces. And here for this example we are having the electron. This is one is for the electrons, for the distribution of charges by electrons. So it's as a result of electron movement. When the electrons are moving, that means that we are having a distribution of charges, and it is due to that allowing of the conductors, because normally a conductor used to allow charges or current to pass through it. So you see this one, it allows the electrons to keep moving until the overall repulsion, that is the law of the repulsion between them, between the excess electron, is minimized. So this is about the distribution of charge. It will keep distributing, until the repulsive, that is the photon here. Then when we are talking about the repulsion, if they refuse, then that means that we are talking about the repulse each other between the excess electrons is minimized. So for the this content is talking about the storage of charges. So normally when we are talking about storage or store, we mean we are talking about to keep something, and what we are to keep, charges. So normally the electrophoresis is a device for transparent and storing charges. So normally this electrophoresis normally is a device, and what is that important of that device is used for transparent and storing charges. So you see, if you want to store a charge, so you have to use that device called electrophoresis. So you see, this device is used for transparent and storing charges. It produces electric charges by electrostatic induction. So you see, it is the production of those charges but by that electrostatic induction. So this is a device used for storing or and the transferring charges. And also we have another device that used for the we also use it for the storing of the device, that is we call it the capacitor. So the capacitor also is also one of the device that we use it for the keeping or storing of those charges that if we need it. And also the electrophoresis also is we use it for the storing of the charges, and also this one is we use it for the transferring of the charges. And if we use a stored if you want to use the storage of those devices or of those charges, then we are to use the capacitors or the electrophoresis for the storing of the charges. So these two devices we use it for the storage or storing or keeping of charges. So normally if you want to keep a charge, it is this due to these two devices. So you can use these two devices if you want to store an electric charge. So I think this is the end of the week 5 physics lesson to the SS1 students. So I wish you best of luck.